Hey everyone, thank you for joining this breakout session of Realize 2023. My name is John Prescott. I am super excited to be hosting you in this session where we'll be talking about how you can combine two very important capabilities with dApps and process miners in order to unlock greater business value. I'm here with Daniel. Daniel, do you want to just do a quick intro of yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, John. My name is Daniel Choka. I am a principal and leader in the process bionics practice within Deloitte. I'm super excited to be here today to talk to everyone about the power of identifying value and opportunity, finding it, framing what that is, and then fixing it, leveraging adapt technologies such as WalkMe. So excited about our conversation.
Awesome. We're excited. And I realized I skipped my own intro. John Prescott. I'm the WalkMe Alliance Manager at Deloitte. So I oversee our relationship with WalkMe and then our service offerings around WalkMe that we service with our mutual clients. So I'm very excited to have Daniel here. Daniel and I work together actually on a project where we're also looking at a couple others to expand our working relationship. Daniel is an expert in this space, and we're super lucky to have you, Daniel, to have you walk us through today.
Well, thanks again. I'm really excited. So why don't we dive into the meat here?
Let's do it. I want to start off just by sharing a bit about how data in general can inform our digital adoption solutions that we build with WalkMe. So you all are probably very familiar with some of the things on the left-hand side here. We can use WalkMe's insights that are native to WalkMe in order to get a really good understanding of user engagement and track how users navigate within technology applications. We can augment that data with things like help desk tickets to understand where users are getting stuck or having issues in an application. We can conduct user interviews and focus groups in order to gauge where the user experience might be poor and where users are struggling. And what you might not be as familiar with, and what we're going to spend some time discussing today, is how process mining can layer into that as well. So Daniel, do you want to talk us through about process mining and how that can inform our digital adoption solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when you talk about, digital adoption solutions and whatnot, if you think about it, the end objective, right, is to get users to adopt a solution, but ultimately to drive and realize value, right? And so that's why typically companies invest in technology and they implement it. But if users aren't using it and if they're not using it the right way, and if it's not optimized and transformed the right way, right, you're not going to see that adoption, that realization. And so what process mining is a very effective approach to leverage data to identify actionable insights that's going to drive and deliver sustainable value. And so what we're able to do with process mining, right, is analyze that backend system data, activity data to find out when happened, what happens, and identify essentially the inefficiencies in a process, the inefficiencies and how a system is used, right? Where do you have rework? Where do you have missing information where users are forced to go back into a system? Where should a part of the process be automated so you have that information there so that you don't have to do rework, as an example. So process mining helps you identify those inefficiencies. In effect, that MRI, right? In terms of go to the doctor when you're not feeling well, the doctor sends you for an X-ray to see what's happening. Your arm is broken or maybe it's just sprained, right? So it'll give you those insights then to make better informed decisions as you transform that process and implement the technology solutions. But then how do you realize that value? And that's really where platforms like these digital adoption platforms help clients and their end users adopt the solution more effectively to drive that value.
Yeah, I think when I think about process mining, an analogy I always come to is going to the airport, right? If I think of going to the airport as a business process, there are a lot of different ways that I can get to the airport. There are different routes I could take, different turns I can get. Sometimes there are things that happen along the way that are unexpected. There might be an accident on the freeway, right? That causes me to reroute. And I think the really powerful thing about process mining is that it's essentially looking into all of the traffic cameras along the way, right? Or all the traffic lights in order to understand the overall patterns in how users are approaching business processes. And then as well, what unexpected behaviors tend to happen along the way so that we can ultimately improve them with tools like digital adoption platforms.
Well, and I think, if you think about it from that, analogy, right? Process mining will help you understand, where the shortest route to take. What route are you taking most often the wrong way? But what a digital adoption platform will essentially make sure that you put gas before you get in the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
It'll make sure it'll be the GPS that'll help you to make sure, hey, as a user, make sure you turn left here because every time you've been turning right. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that the two combined can be very effective at again, not only identifying where the pain points are, where's the construction, where's the routes, but making sure that the users actually embark on that journey and get to the value realization destination.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of really tangible value that we can unlock in using these tools in parallel, increasing visibility into user behavior, reducing risk by keeping users on the right path, on the most efficient path for those processes,
And,
and which is
and let me
ultimately going to help us maximize ROI.
Yeah, let me Jimmy give you an example there, right? So we had one client who, in one of their fundamental core processes, they had 38% of they had rework occurring, and 38% of the rework at one particular step was because of missing information at that step. And
Mm-hmm.
so by leveraging a digital adoption platform up front, further upstream, ensuring that that claim or that underwriter submission or that a purchase order, that invoice couldn't be couldn't move to the next step until you entered that information.
Mm-hmm.
Further downstream, we were able to mitigate 510 resources or FTEs essentially $19 million of impact
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't have to continue doing that rework at that step. So again, it's significant opportunity that can be uncovered and then realized by kind of marrying these two approaches together.
And I think we've already started to see some real value with our clients and bringing these capabilities together. And I think we've prepared a couple examples here of where we've seen that in particular. Daniel, do you want to walk us through one of the case studies that we have here from the process mining standpoint?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this is a great example of kind of again that marrying of the two of process mining and digital adoption platforms together. So, client was a chemicals client, and our team was working in their workday environment doing process improvement, specifically around their hiring process. And what was interesting is that as candidates were moving throughout this interview process, we tracked 259 instances where recruiters skipped the offer stage in Workday.
Mm-hmm.
And from an impact perspective, that means that the company had no traceability in terms of which candidates received an offer, right? Which candidate, where they were, and when until the candidate was hired. And so it makes it impossible to track some of those important KPIs, such as time to offer. They had no visibility in terms of who was joining the company until literally that day that they were hired. And
Mm-hmm.
so what we were able to do essentially is provide that real-time guidance to enrich and remediate that user behavior. And the impact after 4 months of identifying this issue and bringing the solutions to bear, they were able to reduce their time to offer by almost 10%. And
Mm-hmm.
that's significant, especially if you look in today's environment from a resourcing and recruiting standpoint.
Yeah, and I think I love the way that this was able to really triangulate that opportunity as well. WalkMe is a very powerful tool. There are really powerful capabilities to help us look at it from a user analytics standpoint. But this gave us a really concrete opportunity to move the needle with digital adoption in an area that we were not even aware of, that the client wasn't aware of, and ultimately surfaced to be a really valuable opportunity once we had implemented the solution. So I think on that finding side, the process miner was really effective. And then on the fixing side, that's where we see WalkMe and digital adoption platforms coming in order to provide a really user centric solution.
And again, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? It's a matter of if you look at transformation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Find the opportunities, frame them, and
Mm-hmm.
then fix them. All too often we hear example after example of clients that we hear stories, right? Where, we got all this data, we put it in there, but we're really not sure what it means, so where's the opportunity? And then they
Hmm.
find the opportunity, but they don't realize it, right? And
Right.
so this I think is a keen approach to helping clients realize that value faster. And at the end of the
Mhm.
day, that's what this is all about.
We have another example that we want to share with you just to kind of frame it out a bit. In this example that we just shared, there was actually no technical integration between the process miner and WalkMe. We were just using the two tools in parallel. The process miner to help find the problem, WalkMe to help fix it. Um, there are also new capabilities that process miners and dApps are unveiling where we can actually do a deeper technical integration. And this is something that we're really eager to explore with our clients. So maybe, Daniel, you can give us a little bit of context of a potential problem here. And then we can talk about how I can fill in, talk about how this might look on the WalkMe side as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a great a great opportunity to really highlight the power of innovation, right? And the power
Mhm.
of integrating these two together. Another example, again in the HR process area, is that one client had 2,200 applications that had no activity in the last 30 days. So if you think about it, right, the recruiting process is a challenging environment again, and so to have that many open applications with no activity. And also, we had instances where job postings weren't taken down in Workday until after the requisition was filled, right? And so you essentially have um, all the challenges of trying to hire resources and trying to manage the quote unquote inventory and backlog of applications and posting and whatnot. But how do we clean that up, and how do we make it so that we have a seamless integration in terms of here's what's needed and here's where the application is the process, and then how do we essentially are able to take that down? And so what we're able to do is by integrating WalkMe with this process mining, right, you can provide advanced guidance to users to update or close those job applications to make
Mhm.
sure that they're not lingering and adding waste to the process.
And essentially, the way this works is the process miner helps us build a segment that gets sent to WalkMe so that we can trigger really, really contextualized in-app guidance
Mhm.
or automation solutions. So in this case, in the case of closing a job application, we're able to see, okay, who are the recruiters that have job applications that have had no activity in the past 30 days? Let's create a segment for that user group. And then let's also build an automation solution that they can trigger, which will actually go and close the applications for them. All right. So this is a more advanced scenario and one that we're actively exploring and super excited about because it takes that capability that we discussed in the previous example a step further. Not only do we find the opportunity and put a contextual fix in there, now we can make it even more contextual by honing in on a specific audience and
Mhm.
activating the full breadth of capabilities in WalkMe as well.
And I think that's spot on, right? Because what you're able to do is leverage the process mining to pinpoint the bottlenecks, right, and
Mhm.
drive in efficiencies. But by reducing these delays and by leveraging the digital adoption platform such as WalkMe, what you're able to do is you're able to, number one, reduce the overall delays in hiring,
Mhm.
enhance the overall candidate experience, right? And essentially, you're at the end of the day, from the recruiting aspect, you're reducing time and effort from that,
Mhm.
which we all know that it's challenging in today's environment. I think another example, it just kind of popped into my mind here, is a case of maverick buying. We had one client who had something to the order of a magnitude of $25 million of maverick buying. Maverick buying essentially is in procurement when you have a purchase made without a purchase order, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so the challenges there in maverick buying is that you're not necessarily leveraging the contracted rate or using the best provider if you just go without a purchase order, so you're just making a purchase. Well, another great potential integration would be with process mining and WalkMe, is that you're not allowing that user to make that purchase before the popper the block up comes up and says, hey, is there a purchase order number? If not,
Mhm.
go request the PO, and then you can move forward. That's one example. Another example, we had another client had something on the order of magnitude of $111 million of material price discrepancies,
Hmm.
right? Where and what that boiled down to was buying the same product from different sources had a different pricing standpoint, and 50% of the material price discrepancy was from 10 products. So
Hmm.
if you could standardize that again, where you have someone who's going to make a requisition or make a purchase, are they making the requisition from this pre-approved list of vendors and whatnot? So again, there's a number of different use cases there. I can go on and on from a supply chain logistics perspective, where you could leverage the integration of a tool like process mining and a capability such as WalkMe to not only pinpoint those inefficiencies, but then drive those results.
What I love about those examples that you shared as well, Daniel, is we can use our process miner to help us frame out that business impact as well. And I think we're always looking as WalkMe developers and WalkMe program leaders. We're always looking for where are we going to make the biggest impact
Yep.
by implementing a digital adoption platform. And I think the really great thing about those examples is that you're not only finding the issues, but you're also able to frame out that impact. And then we can also see the traceability in WalkMe as well with the type of engagement that we're getting out of it, how much of that impact could even be directly attributable to those digital adoption solutions.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, right? I think the executives, you always need to look at the so what behind it, right?
Right,
So what's the point of implementing this? Well, what's my bang for the buck? Well, you'll be
right.
able to very easily quantify that, identify where the root cause is, quantify the impact, and then deliver those results.
So, in summary, process mining is another tool in your toolkit that can drive impactful WalkMe solutions. A lot of your organizations may already have a process miner, so you can reach out to your IT team to see if that's a capability that your organization has today. You can use these tools even in isolation, right? Process mining to help you understand opportunities for business process improvement. WalkMe to help drive the results. And you can get even more powerful results when you combine the two tools together.
Yeah, I think maybe an analogy to use here is I talk about my golf game often, and it's not very good. But that being said, right, you look at a golfer and they have a suite of clubs in their golf bag, and it really depends on where they are on the hole, on which club that you use, right? You're on the tee, you'll use a driver, right? You're on the green, you'll use a putter. But back to the tee, if you're on a tee and it's a par five, you'll use a driver. But if it's a par three, maybe you should use a 7-iron, right? And so that's really where it's a matter of what tool and fit for purpose for where you are on the course. And again, the objective is to put the ball in the hole. So that goes back to the objective is value realization. And that's another thing to call it too, is that I could buy the same driver as Tiger Woods or Bryson DeChambeau, but that doesn't mean I'm going to hit the ball 450 yards off the tee. So it's a matter of what tools, what skill sets are leveraging those tools, who's the caddy as an example, right? And then knowing how to put that together to achieve your objective of putting the ball in the hole, or your cost ambition takeout, or your tech transformation enablement, right? And so
Mhm.
that's again where I think where it comes together. And back to your analogy earlier on getting to the airport, it'll help us get to the airport faster, the most economical rate, and make sure that we didn't leave my luggage behind like I've done once before.
Well, thank you very much, Daniel, for joining us today and sharing more about these really powerful capabilities. And to our audience tuning in, we hope you have a wonderful time at Realize 2023 and hope you found this session valuable in understanding these two new powerful capabilities on your radar.